Before we get started today, I just wanted to say thanks to everyone for listening and downloading our podcast, and also for subscribing to our YouTube channel. We have seen tremendous growth over the last 3 months, and we're excited to bring you new content each week. We're approaching 200 subscribers on YouTube, and we would like to make an announcement about a giveaway once we pass the 200 mark. All you have to do is subscribe and leave a comment in one of our videos with the number 200 in it. That's it. Unfortunately, only Canadian and US subscribers are eligible. This is just for shipping costs. When we hit 1,000 subscribers, we'll open it up to more people, and all of you can participate. We will reveal the prize in a future episode. That's enough for now. Let's get on with the show. The English royal family's lineage dates back centuries to Robert I, the Duke of Normandy, from 1028 to 1035. Robert was called Robert the Devil, accused of poisoning his brother, whom Robert succeeded as Duke. Not an actual devil, however, he was one of the first of many to be linked to the dark forces around us. Brew some coffee, pull up a chair, and open your mind. This week on Science vs. Conspiracy, we will be discussing the reptilian connection over coffee. We'll be right back.
Hello, this is the Pacific Wellbeing Mental Health Podcast. I'm Jennifer, and starting mid-August 2022, I'm going to be bringing you podcasts discussing mental health topics, trends, controversies, and news, with an eye to informing and educating you on your path to well-being. I've been working in psychology and nursing for 20 years, and now I'm a doctoral student in counseling psychology. So I have a pretty keen insight into what makes us tick. Join me every second Wednesday, and we can explore the fascinating world of mental health together. Available wherever you get your podcasts.
We begin our story this week with the term Draco, or Draconian. Over the past couple of years, we've heard this term thrown around quite a bit, from anti-maskers to anti-vaccine protesters, about the draconian laws various governments around the world have forced upon us to combat the COVID-19 pandemic. Of course, the term draconian isn't anything new. The first known usage was back in 1775. The term means great severity, in which small offenses had heavy punishments. Draco is also seen in the night sky and forms the constellation of Draco. Located in the far northern sky, its name is Latin for dragon. Hold on to this for a moment, I'll come back to Draco in a minute. The word dragon shares a similar history to that of snakes. Both are similar in appearance, however, dragons are said to be mythical serpent creatures. But where did these myths originate? Are dragons and snakes part of the same story? Let's find out. In Greek mythology, the snake is a symbol of rebirth and renewal. Both snakes and their venom have been used for healing the sick. In fact, these symbols of snakes being involved with healing is where we got the symbol often used for healthcare. As the story goes, Apollo gave his staff to Hermes to help separate two fighting snakes. During the encounter, the two snakes were said to have coiled up the staff. The symbol of two snakes wrapped around the staff is sometimes depicted having wings. The wings are said to symbolize being a messenger between the gods and humans. We see these messages between gods and humans showing up in just about every culture on Earth. The Nephilim, Watchers, demigods. Stories with some sort of reptile creatures with human features not only guiding us, but also ruling over us. Chinese mythology talks about Fuxi, the god of creation and mankind's first ancestor, with the head of a man and the body of a snake, and sometimes referred to as the Dragon King. In Hindu mythology, there is a similar story, the subdivine or demigod called Naga, Sanskrit for serpent, and is said to be half human, half cobra, with shape-shifting abilities. They live in an underground kingdom called Naga Loka, or Patala Loka. The dynasties of Manipur in northeastern India and the Pallavasa in southern India and the ruling family of Funan, each claiming their origins with humans and Naga, the serpent. In the Bible, serpents tempt Adam and Eve, which results in them being expelled from the Garden of Eden, consequences that form the basis of Christianity. There have been countless stories of reptilian creatures interacting with humans, helping to shape our development throughout the ages. With the Chinese and Hindu myths, we're starting to see the connection between royals and the serpent gods. In 1811, it was first described by the royals as having blue blood. This was to describe and distinguish between the three classes of people, blue being royalty, and finally yellow for the less desirable common folk. Blue blood is often associated with serpents and other reptiles. It's interesting that blue would be associated with royalty, especially since the mention of blue was so rare in the ancient world, with the exception being Egypt. According to David Icke and Zecharia Sitchin before him, it's in these Egyptian and Babylonian cultures that the idea of reptilian aliens begin to emerge. David Icke describes in his books that there's a race of interdimensional reptilian beings called the Arconans. They have been working against us from the very beginning, preventing us from reaching our full potential. According to David Icke, the Arconans are the same beings as the Anunnaki in the Babylonian creation myths. Christianity refers to them as fallen angels. These fallen angels mated with human women to create the Nephilim. These hybrid beings are said to be shape-shifting reptilians, known as the Babylon Brotherhood. If you're not familiar with this name, you probably know them by their other name, the Illuminati. The Brotherhood originated in the Draco's constellation, some 50 million light-years from Earth. Descendants of their bloodlines include the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, and the British House of Windsor, or the current royal family. There are similarities from this story and that of the Chinese myth. Both myths talk about reptilian creatures shaping humanity after the Great Flood. The reptilian creatures are often depicted living underground, which probably contributed to the story of hell. These stories became a little closer to reality when, in 1933, G. Warren Shuffle, a mining engineer, was told a story from Chief Greenleaf of the Hopi Indians that there was a race of lizard people that used mysterious chemicals to carve a network of tunnels underneath Los Angeles. These lizard people possessed golden treasures that Shuffle and others tried to find. Let's pop back to Zecharia Sitchin for a second. It's important to note that there's a lot of people that follow his beliefs and his theories about the Anunnaki, but there's one thing that we have to keep in mind when talking about Zecharia Sitchin. While working on his books, he rented an office building in New York City from the Rockefellers. Because of this little detail, I believe it throws into question all his research about his claims. If the Rockefellers are as powerful as many claim, there is no way that he would be able to write something this damning without them knowing or influencing what he was writing. Perhaps it was part of the plan all along, leading believers to people like David Icke and what some call misguided conspiracies. Or maybe it's all true. One thing that is for certain, every culture around the world has myths and legends about reptilian-human hybrids with shape-shifting abilities, often living beneath the surface, and pulling the strings of humanity's evolution for thousands of years. These same reptilians have been always in positions of power and influence in all these myths. Is it possible that the royal family and other elites descended from the reptilian race from the Draco system, some 50 million light years away? Let me know what you think in the comments. If you like this podcast, please subscribe. It really helps us out. And head over to our YouTube channel and subscribe over there. Turn on those post notifications so you'll be notified every time we release new content. We release our podcast on Fridays and our videos on Mondays. And remember guys, being paranoid is smart. We'll see you next time. This week's episode of Science vs. Conspiracy over coffee was produced by Lethologica. Research and writing was done by Bob Homer and Jennifer Timer.